Bottled water, one of the most successful marketing scams ever pulled over on the American public. And I'm not saying don't drink it in an emergency, but can you really afford emergency prices for everyday items? Let's learn a little bit more about bottled water today on Hurting or Healing. We're going to start off with the story of bottled water.
One of the problems with trying to use less stuff is that sometimes we feel like we really need it. What if you live in a city like, say, Cleveland, and you want a glass of water? Are you going to take your chances and get it from the city tap? Or should you reach for a bottle of water that comes from the pristine rainforest of Fiji? Well, Fiji brand water thought the answer to this question was obvious, so they built a whole ad campaign around it. It turned out to be one of the dumbest moves in advertising history. You see, the city of Cleveland didn't like being the butt of Fiji's jokes, so they did some tests, and guess what? These tests showed a glass of Fiji water is lower quality, it loses taste tests against Cleveland Tap, and costs thousands of times more. This story is typical of what happens when you test bottled water against tap water. Is it cleaner? Sometimes, sometimes not. In many ways, bottled water is less regulated than tap. Is it tastier? In taste tests across the country, people consistently choose tap over bottled water. These bottled water companies say they're just meeting consumer demand. But who would demand a less sustainable, less tasty, way more expensive product, especially one you can get for almost free in your kitchen? Bottled water costs about 2,000 times more than tap water. Can you imagine paying 2,000 times the price of anything else? How about a $10,000 sandwich? Yet people in the U.S. buy more than 500 million bottles of water every week. That is enough to circle the globe more than 5 times. How did this come to be? Well, it all goes back to how our materials economy works, and one of its key drivers, which is known as manufactured demand. If companies want to keep growing, they have to keep selling more and more stuff. In the 1970s, giant soft drink companies got worried as they saw their growth projections starting to level off. There's only so much soda a person can drink. Plus, it wouldn't be long before people began realizing that soda is not that healthy and turned back to, gasp, drinking tap water. Well, the companies found their next big idea in a silly designer product that most people laughed off as a passing yuppie fad. Water is free, people said back then. What will they sell us next? Air? So how do you get people to buy this fringe product? Simple. You manufacture demand. How do you do that? Well, imagine you're in charge of a bottled water company. Since people aren't lining up to trade their hard-earned money for your unnecessary product, you make them feel scared and insecure if they don't have it. And that's exactly what the bottled water industry did. One of their first marketing tactics was to scare people about tap water with ads like Fiji's Cleveland campaign. When we're done, one top water executive said, tap water will be relegated to showers and washing dishes. Next, you hide the reality of your product behind images of pure fantasy. Have you ever noticed how bottled water tries to seduce us with pictures of mountain streams and pristine nature? But guess where 1/3 of all bottled water in the U.S. actually comes from? The tap. Pepsi's Aquafina and Coke's Dasani are 2 of the many brands that are really filtered tap water. But the pristine nature lie goes much deeper. In a recent full-page ad, Nestle said, bottled water is the most environmentally responsible consumer product in the world. What? They are trashing the environment all along the product's life cycle. Exactly how is that environmentally responsible? The problems start here with extraction and production, where oil is used to make water bottles. Each year, making the plastic water bottles used in the U.S. takes enough oil and energy to fuel 1 million cars. All that energy spent to make the bottle, even more to ship it around the planet, and then we drink it in about 2 minutes? That brings us to the big problem at the other end of the life cycle, disposal. What happens to all these bottles when we're done? 80% end up in landfills, where they will sit for thousands of years, or in incinerators, where they are burned, releasing toxic pollution. The rest gets collected for recycling. I was curious about where the plastic bottles that I put in the recycling bins go. I found out that shiploads were being sent to India, so I went there. I will never forget riding over a hill outside Madras, where I came face to face with a mountain of plastic bottles from California. Now, real recycling would turn these bottles back into bottles. But that wasn't what was happening here. Instead, these bottles were slated to be downcycled, which means turning them into lower quality products that would just be chucked later. The parts that couldn't be downcycled were thrown away there, shipped all the way to India just to be dumped in someone else's backyard. If bottled water companies want to use mountains on their labels, it would be more accurate to show one of these mountains of plastic waste. Scaring us, seducing us, and misleading us. These strategies are all core parts of manufacturing demand. Once they've manufactured all this demand, creating a new multi-billion-dollar market, they defend it by beating out the competition. But in this case, the competition is our basic human right to clean, safe drinking water. Pepsi's vice chairman publicly said, "The biggest enemy is tap water." They want us to think it's dirty and bottled water is the best alternative. In many places, public water is polluted, thanks to polluting industries like the plastic bottle industry. And these bottled water guys are all too happy to offer their expensive solutions, which keep us hooked on their products. It is time we took back the tap. That starts with making a personal commitment to not buy or drink bottled water unless the water in your community is truly unhealthy. Yes, it takes a bit of foresight to grab a reusable bottle on the way out, but I think we can handle it. Then take the next step. Join a campaign that's working for real solutions, like demanding investment in clean tap water for all. In the US, tap water is underfunded by $24 billion, partly because people believe drinking water only comes from a bottle. Around the world, 1 billion people don't have access to clean water right now. Yet cities all over are spending millions of dollars to deal with all the plastic bottles we throw out. What if that money was spent improving our water systems, or better yet, preventing pollution to begin with? There are many more things we can do to solve this problem. Lobby your city officials to bring back drinking fountains. Work to ban the purchase of bottled water by your school, your organization, or entire city. This is a huge opportunity for millions of people to wake up and protect our wallets, our health, and the planet. The good news is it's already started. Bottled water sales have begun to drop while business is booming for safe, refillable water bottles. Yay! Restaurants are proudly serving tap, and people are choosing to pocket the hundreds or thousands of dollars they would otherwise be wasting on bottled water. Carrying bottled water is on its way to being as cool as smoking while pregnant. We know better now. The bottled water industry is getting worried because the jig is up. We are not buying into their manufactured demand anymore. We will choose our own demands, thank you very much, and we're demanding clean, safe water for all.
And here's a very interesting story on how the whole bottled water craze got started.
It's Perrier.
It all started when a French company somehow convinced people it's cool to buy bottled water.
How does Evian make you feel?
Today, Evian surpassed Perrier in sales, and now it's the chic French water of choice. Why? It costs about $5 a gallon. Why do people pay so much for something you can get for free? If they're not buying Evian, they buy Aquafina and Dasani and the dozens of new brands that are jumping into this billion-dollar business, including bizarre ones like Venus, the water for women. And this one with the Donald scowling at us. I'd have to be very thirsty to buy that. Now, many people say they buy bottled waters because they taste better.
I drink Dasani. It tastes good. It tastes crisp, like natural.
Lots of people told us tap water isn't as good.
I think tap water kind of tastes like sewer.
That's what people say, but is it true? We ran a test. We offered people New York City tap water and 5 other bottled water, some of them expensive. Could people tell the difference when they didn't know what they were drinking?
We'll get to our test results in a moment, but first, the other reason many people buy bottled water is that they claim it's safer.
I drink tap water home, and I'm the only one who's brave enough to do so.
Your family's afraid to drink tap water?
Yes.
What are they afraid of?
Germs.
Germs? At Earth Day celebrations, we heard a lot about how tap water is unhealthy.
Me, as a parent, I feel more comfortable giving her bottled water.
I drink Poland Spring, and that water is clean. It looks clean. It tastes clean, and it's like it's clean.
It's clean.
Bottled water, we were told, is cleaner, safer, healthier.
Another of nature's gifts you can use to do something healthy.
Watching those ads,
You would think that this stuff might not be healthy, but that's not true.
we took 5 bottles of national brands of bottled water and a sample of tap water from this drinking fountain in the middle of New York City and sent them to microbiologist Aaron Margolin to test for the bacteria that can make you sick, like E. coli. What did he find?
There was actually no difference between the New York City tap water and the bottled waters that we evaluated.
No significant difference or no difference?
No difference whatsoever.
Many scientists have run tests like that, and they consistently find tap water is as good for you as waters that cost 500 times more.
Is bottled water safer than tap water? Do you argue that it is? It's
No,
better?
I wouldn't argue it's safer or not safer.
Even Dr. Stephen Edberg, the person the Bottled Water Association told us to talk to, agreed. Bottled water is no better for you.
It's not healthier.
Healthy is a funny definition. I wouldn't say it's healthier than tap water. I mean, they both provide water.
Maybe the taste difference justifies spending more money?
I can definitely taste the difference between like a Fiji water and an Evian and a Poland Spring.
The labels on the bottles do suggest they're special. Some show mountains or polar bears, but many of the names are wondrously misleading. You have to look at the fine print to find out that Everest water is not from Mount Everest, it's from here, Corpus Christi, Texas. Glacier clear water is not from a glacier. Its source is tap water from Greenville, Tennessee. Couldn't find any glaciers around here. Big selling Dasani, Aquafina, and 25% of all bottled water sold is just reprocessed tap water from cities around the country. One of Aquafina's sources is the Detroit River. At least the big selling French water does come from France.
Purity from the French Alps.
But does that make it taste better? This brings us back to our taste test. The bottled waters we chose were the expensive Evian, Iceland Spring, which comes all the way from Iceland, Poland Spring, Aquafina, the bestseller, American Fair, which is Kmart's discount brand, and that ordinary tap water from that city fountain. We invited all the bottled water companies to take part in our test. Only Iceland Spring and Evian sent representatives, these 2 people each. They refused, however, to take our test. Now, many who did take the test were bottled water drinkers. They pay for it, they say, because tap water just doesn't taste as good.
Regular tap water tastes flat.
Yeah.
Yes, there's no flavor to it.
It tastes like fluoride, or it doesn't taste fresh.
Would the test confirm that?
3, 4, and 5 for the worst.
We asked people to rate the waters bad, average, or great. Lots of people said one of the waters was bad.
Second one's pretty bad.
Was that one tap water? Actually, No, tap water tested pretty well. Even people like this man and this woman who said they don't like it, liked it.
Number 3 is New York tap water. You put down number 3 was great. That's New York tap water.
Okay. Now ours was just one unscientific test, but lots of blind tests, like this one done by Good Morning America. Keep finding that the winner is...
All right, here we go.
Tap water.
Tap water.
Now, New York tap water may taste better than the water you get where you live. Not all towns' tap water is equally good, and the pipes in your house can affect taste. But come on, New York's the biggest city in America. Our water has to flow through ancient pipes from reservoirs that are sometimes 100 miles away. Yet it still wins taste tests. I suspect lots of people who buy the fancy waters are getting suckered by the ads or the labels. Satirist Penn and Teller demonstrated that in their TV show on the cable network Showtime when they went to a trendy California restaurant and...
Instead of a wine steward, we created the world's first water steward.
But this is how the water steward got the water, which he put in bottles with fancy labels. And sure enough, most of the unsuspecting diners loved their elegant waters.
How would you compare it to tap water?
Oh, yeah, definitely better than tap water.
In our test of what people said was great water, surprise, the cheapest bottled water won. American Fare from Kmart. Big seller Aquafina came in second. This woman who buys it thought she recognized it.
You think you picked it out?
I think it was 6.
You're right.
Yeah. I'm really proud.
Third place on our test was a tie between Iceland Spring, expensive bottled water shipped thousands of miles, and the ordinary tap water. Come here and you can get it free. Fifth place went to Poland Spring. And in last place, by far, with almost half the testers saying it tasted bad, was the most expensive water, the fancy French stuff, Evian.
It has that. Yeah, that's nasty.
Evian had no comment. But bottom line, if you buy bottled water because you think it's healthier than tap, test after test shows no evidence of that. And if you buy fancy brands because you think they taste better, you're probably just buying the hype.
We're hurting ourselves or healing ourselves. It's your choice. And hopefully when we learn, we make better choices. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.